YouTube, what's good? Back again with another video. This is the sixth installment of Relationship Etiquette. It's episode 6, and I want to touch on with this one statute of limitations. What do I mean by that? Well, when I talk about statute of limitations as it pertains to relationships, I'm talking about when your partner does something that you don't know about when it initially happens, and then you find out weeks, months, and in some cases even years down the line. Can you still hold that partner accountable to that thing? Is it still punishable if you find out weeks, months, and years down the line, particularly years later? So let's say, for example, if your partner, you're in a long-term relationship and you find out that at some point in time during the course of that relationship, your partner cheated on you, but you never knew about it, and it happened years prior, and then you find out about it. Is there a statute of limitations on what that person did 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago? If you've been together 10 years, 15 years, and then you find out that at some point in the middle stages of that relationship, that person did something that could have, if it was brought to your attention, or if you had knowledge of it when it initially happened, could have ended the relationship, but you find out about it 5, 7, 10 years later, whatever the case. Is the statute of limitations on you being angry enough at that point to end the relationship? And even if everything's going good, is there a statute of limitations? I think this is a controversial issue because I think most people, being politically correct, would say, well, it happened years ago. Everything's going good now. You may or may not remember what was going on in the relationship at that time. So if it's going good, you kind of just have to, eat that and just keep it moving and keep the relationship, since it's already going good. I believe there's no statute of limitations on anything that you do in a relationship. I don't care if we're together for 20 years. If I find out information, even if it happened within the first 6 months of our relationship, if I find out information about something that you did that was shady and that was punishable by the up to and even exceeding the relationship being terminated, I don't feel like there's ever a statute of limitations on that. I feel like that it doesn't matter. Once I find out about that, it changes the whole complexion of the relationship. Because from whatever point that happened, and then following that point, the relationship was a lie. So even if we're doing good and I have no knowledge of what's going on behind my back, the relationship is still, from that point that you started doing whatever you were doing until the time that that relationship ends, it's all based on lies. So when I find out about a situation that happened, months, years before, and if it went on for years, and then I find out about it and it was like, oh yeah, but that was 2 years ago. It doesn't matter. There's no statute of limitations because I say it all the time. Relationships, the time that passes in a relationship is not linear. It's perennial. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. So when I find something out, it's almost as if that thing's bad enough, it's almost as if when you become knowledgeable of that situation, that's when that thing happened. That's the way that it works. It's about how you're affected by whatever that thing is. So if you cheated on me 5 years ago, it's 5 years later, we're still in the relationship, and the relationship is doing good, and somehow I acquire knowledge of what you did 5 years prior. To me, you just did it because I had no knowledge of it back then. I think even in situations where somebody does something in a relationship that could cause that relationship to end, even if you find out about it, someone else makes you aware of it, or that person makes you aware of it, and you discuss the situation with your partner, and you say that you're going to attempt to stay and make it work, I still don't think there's a statute of limitations on relationship on those types of things. There just can't be. because you never know how something's going to affect you. And I don't like when people be like, oh, but if you tell someone that you're going to forgive them, you have to, you can't talk about it, you can't bring it up, you have to let it go. That's bullshit. And I touched on this in one of my earlier relationship etiquette episodes, where we talk about forgiveness and the fact that too many people get the whole concept of forgiveness twisted. Forgiveness is never meant to insinuate or promise any type of pardon, partial or full, of what you did. The only thing that forgiveness is, just to reiterate what was discussed in the relationship etiquette forgiveness episode, all I'm saying by forgiving you is that I acknowledge what you did, and I'm not going to retaliate against you, because that's all forgiveness is. It's the opposite of, you did this to me, so I'm gonna do this to you. So it's not even necessarily saying I accept your apology. That's what I don't understand about people. It's like if you shoot one of my friends, and then I say, you know what, I forgive that. All I'm saying is I'm not going to shoot one of your friends. That don't mean that I'm not going to hold you to what you did and hold that against you for as long as I see fit. People need to stop getting this twisted. If you're not going to think about your actions as an adult and how those actions could affect your relationship, and you're going to call it a mistake and make all these excuses that everybody makes when they get caught doing some fuckboy shit, then you should be fully prepared for whatever punishment is going to be forthcoming from that partner. Because again, and to touch base on another one of the relationship etiquette episodes, once you apologize for something and acknowledge that you did something, you're at the mercy of the other person. It's up to them how they feel, and whenever they feel like they're to a point where they really want to start over with you and no longer hold that over your head. But it's up to them. But that's why people need to start thinking about what they do before they do it. Now, if you think about what you do, you still want to do it, and you're like, fuck this person, then cool. Because clearly that's what it was on some level. Anyway, there's no way that anybody's going to tell me that you're rocking with a person and you love that person, but you're out there doing shady shit that will cause that person to no longer want to be in that relationship with you. There's no way. The two don't go hand in hand. They're not synonymous. All of that, oh, but I still love this person, I just did this, it was a mistake. That's all bullshit. We make choices in life, and the choices that we make have consequences. The term consequence is it's a neutral term. It could mean positive effect or negative effect. It's just the result of something having happened. That's all the word consequence really means. So there's good consequences and there's bad consequences. We just usually always typically associate the word consequence with like negative connotation, but there's good consequences, there's bad consequences. It just really means the result of something. So it's like I always say, cheating is a choice, and really it's a lifestyle, because once you engage in the activity of cheating, which starts from the process of you first having the thought that you shouldn't be doing this thing that you're doing, and it doesn't even always have to be physical. It could lead to something physical, but it doesn't typically start that way. But it's different levels, and the different levels, I feel like, determine what the repercussions should be if that partner finds out, and it's up to them to set their own scale. Like, if someone cheats on you and you feel like you can't get past it, don't attempt to. And I mean that in the sense of can't get past it without you feeling the need to retaliate against that person, then don't attempt to. Just be real with yourself. Like me, I'm a genuinely relationship oriented person. So a person can do something to me, and I will always try my best to find some type of high ground where I can see a place at some point in time in the future where I can possibly be okay with that person. But what precedes that is what I call a test phase, where I'm going to do any and everything impossible to break you so that you can't make it through that test period, because it's not designed for you to. Because once you break a person's trust, and once they feel like you've done things that are so outside of the scope of that relationship continuing to be successful, I don't think that relationship is ever the same after that. I think I think it's a good social practice for the general public to be under the assumption that relationships can be fixed after cheating. And I think it's good for therapists, counselors, um, Hallmark, with their cards. I think it's good to gas people's heads up into thinking that, yo, you guys had a rough patch, this person cheated, but you can still be okay after that. It's impossible. If you're being honest with yourself, and this is what this channel is about, it's about putting real content out there that people don't want to talk about in a real way. If you cheated on a person in a relationship that is a long-term, serious relationship, and you cheated on them, they are never going to get past that. And vice versa. If they cheated on you, if you're being honest with yourself, you're never going to look at that person the same way again. You could try as hard as you want. You could put out this front. You could let the public feel like, oh, we're closer now. There's no such thing. It doesn't work that way. That's not life. Nothing that consists of two people relating in a relational in a romantic relationship setting. Those types of things don't make you closer. It's the underlying issues that typically lead to people making the excuses of committing those types of things, but when they don't, and they talk about it, and they display that loyalty, those are the things that makes relationships stronger. Not you cheated on me, you disrespected me, you had me looking crazy out here in these streets, but I'm gonna stay with you and we're gonna get closer. It don't work that way. Trust is it's a dwindling it's a dwindling presence. It's like a fossil fuel, like a natural resource. It's not something that you can ever regenerate. You meet a person, you build that trust initially as you're getting to know that person. And from there, that trust level either stays the same, or there's certain things that happen throughout the course of that relationship that causes that trust to dwindle. You can never replenish that. Once a person shows you who they truly are, because it's what we do in our worst moments that define us, that shows people who we truly are. Anybody can do the right thing when everything's going good. Anybody can love you when the relationship is good. It's when shit's not going good, when there's disagreements, when there's arguments, when one person's not doing what they're supposed to be doing in the relationship setting. That's when you really see if a person's loyal, if a person's genuine, if they're trustworthy, if they meant all the shit they said. And a lot of you motherfuckers, y'all aren't. Females, I'm talking about females as well as men. It's not just men. Stop pushing that agenda that only men are dogs and only men are cheaters and players, because in 2016, the way that relationships are structured now, a lot of you females are a lot worse than the men. I see that shit firsthand. I see it every day. I've experienced it firsthand. So it's about what works for you. And as far as I'm concerned, if you guys disagree, feel free to let me know. But there's no statute of limitations in relationships. If you cheat on me today and I find out about it 2 years from now, I reserve the right at any point in time, from the time that I'm made aware of what you did, to do whatever I feel I need to do in the way of showing you that what you did is not something that's going to be tolerated. You know what I'm saying? So, Relationship Etiquette episode 6, statute of limitations. Let me know what you guys think. This channel is just meant to, promote the progress of us relating with each other through real shit, real conversation, not fake shit. It's only real content, shit that I talk about, and shit that I deal with, or shit that I have dealt with, or shit that I've witnessed other people go through, and I've had close, close and in-depth conversations with them, and so I bring it to you guys so that we can all talk about it, because on some level we've all dealt with this shit that I incorporate into my channel, and that's why I do it, because it needs to be discussed. Everybody's not talking about it. You know, people are under the misconception that a relationship should exist in a vacuum, and everything that goes on in that relationship should be only behind closed doors between those two people. And that's true of certain types of information, but really in large part we need to learn from each other, and the only way to really do that is to communicate with each other. You know, we have friends, we talk to our friends. You know, you can talk to your friends about a situation from a standpoint of objectivity and for better understanding. It doesn't have to be about bashing your partner. That's where people get it twisted. Just because I speak to somebody about an occurrence that goes on in my relationship, it doesn't have to mean that it's from a negative place. It could be for better understanding, for another person's perspective, you know, because sometimes having a person from the outside looking in, they might see something that you're missing, you know. But when I talk my shit in these vlogs, it's not to send a message or infer that I know more than everybody or I'm some kind of relationship expert. It's not about that. I talk about controversial shit so that we can open up the discussion. It's about talking. No one person has all the answers. That's why I bring this shit to my forum, to my platform, and that's why I bring this content to my channel, so that you guys can see it, process it, and kick it back to me with whatever criticisms, improvements, or shout outs you guys feel like you want to incorporate in that. I don't pretend to know everything, but I do know a little about a little. See you on the next one. Peace and love.